what I'm gonna do is flip over to the end stuff, which isn't, there's not much to say.
Okay.
This is very simple.
I don't understand why I can't hear.
No one was talking. Can you hear? It's still, can you hear us?
Says the audio is on.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, now I can, yes. My
Yeah.
name's Dana Junior.
Yes,
I'm
but,
here for,
right, we haven't opened we haven't opened the meeting yet, so
okay, great.
we're just turning on our video.
Thank you, okay.
All right.
I'm technologically challenged, so.
As many of us, that's okay.
Yeah.
So we're opening the July 3rd, 2024 Board of Health, Dr. Vigand. Roll call,
Attorney Jillian Morton.
Amy Vigand. And Patrick Tropiano is not here yet. I suspect we'll know when he comes. Susan Dory is not, she is an associate member, was just voted in by the Board of Selectmen, and she has to do a couple paperwork things and had something else going on today. Larry Lawrence Perry could not be here today. So I'm going to skip the 2605 for just a second to give one of our members a little time to come, so he can hear it, and then we'll come back.
Okay.
Was there, do you know, with the health agent's report, was there? He didn't tell me, there was nothing important that we needed to go over?
Nothing that was really of any importance at this point, yeah. Just the Title V's, the variances, we had, Title V upgrades, conventionals, and we had, 4 of those. 0 alternative systems. The perk tests, we had 6 new and 2 upgrades. Inspections, the restaurant inspections are still ongoing for 2024. The beach water sampling, the program is still ongoing and doing very well. No new court cases. The public health nurse is still working on disease tracking and reporting. Let's see.
And I did hear that they're going to hopefully be coming, the epidemiologist is going to be coming to another, and give us an update of what she's doing with all 3 towns.
Yes. And the rental housing program is doing good at this point. We are roughly 1,500 units. That continues with the start of the new year. And the commercial and residential properties are to be inspected as well.
Great. And regarding the infectious diseases, we're having a surge of COVID again, as we had, for some reason. I think one thing that people are forgetting, that there were new guidelines by the CDC related to how quickly you can get back to work, to get the workforce back, that within, if you haven't had a fever and you're feeling better after 24 hours, you can go back. But if you read the fine print, you're still supposed to keep your distance, wear a mask for a minimum of 5 days. You still can pass it on to somebody else. So if you're living with people, you might want to be careful, especially if you have somebody who's more susceptible to getting lung disease or and getting sicker from it. And still continue to get your shots. So otherwise, we're also starting to see a lot of tick-borne. We've seen ehrlichiosis, babesiosis, Lyme already this year, at least in my little office. Just being careful, checking yourself daily. It's hard to stay away from them. We all get exposed. So I just say check yourself daily and put your clothes in the dryer. It kills the ticks. That'll be the 2 things. So I'm going to skip one, and otherwise we'll come back to him after. I'd like to go to 4, which is continued discussion and possible vote on tobacco regulations.
Okay.
There was just a there's not much that has changed from our previous ones. There was on page 12 of 13, we had added, we're thinking of adding the time frame for any suspension to be served shall be established directly with the health agent to ensure compliance with section S5, so that can be dealt with him. We have many times.
Yeah, we already say that
Right.
verbally, but let's get that in the regs.
Right, and
Yep.
then number 7, all fines issued under this section will be paid in full, no more than 60 days from the date it issued. We did not have a time frame for that, so it was just open-ended.
Does it talk about if they do not pay it within the 60 days?
No,
So, I'm not trying to drag this one on,
yeah, but
but
that's okay.
we need to know if they don't pay it within 60 days, do they forfeit their license? Like, where, is that another violation to add on? I think that
That's
we
easy,
need
60
to-
days is 2 months, right?
I think we need to address what happens in order to give us power, because I don't think there's any reason why, oh, well, I go over 60 days, what do I care? If there's no actual fine or, again, another infraction. So,
I mean, that would be a, if they don't pay, they lose their license, that would be a quick and easy, keep
yeah,
everybody
I
paying.
mean, I understand, like, or another violation, which would be another fine, I'm not trying to regulate things over, but we need to have some recourse if they don't pay, so.
That's a good
Okay,
idea.
so we'll continue that one.
We'll continue that one, maybe, ask Mr. McDonald next time about adding, I would do either one. I think having something in there, either another fine or that it becomes a third fine versus
'Cause
they
for-
lose their license, do you have any strong feeling one way or the other?
I don't want it to be lose license, I want it to be, unless it's like their 4th offense, I want it to be another violation.
Okay,
So if they're at 2 and their fine was $2,000, right, if they don't pay the $2,000 within,
60
the
days.
60 days, and they're gonna hit 3rd viation, they're gonna get another $5,000, so that's an incentive, I would say,
Yeah.
to get it
Okay,
paid,
and that's fine, I think,
so.
this hasn't ever happened, so.
No, but we have had repeat offenders and people get close to losing their license, so.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna go back over time, he hasn't, it's already like almost 10 past, to discussion and possible vote on 2605 Cranberry Highway variance request. Hello? Would you like to introduce yourself and, what company you're with and,
Yes, my name is Dana Jr. I designed a system repair over at 2605 Cranberry Highway. It's a takeout pizza restaurant, has 38 seats in it, has a failed system. I think it actually failed a couple years ago. I didn't do the inspection on it, but I was called to do a new system on it as it changed hands more recently than not. I don't know, within 6 months ago or so. And one of the conditions was that the new owner needed a new septic system on it. So I sent Pat Brennan out there, professional engineer and a soil evaluator, to do perk tests. We performed those. They were less than 2 minutes per inch. It was nice sand. The groundwater is just about a shade more than 4 feet deep. We're planning on keeping the existing grease trap, 1,000-gallon grease trap, and the existing 1,500-gallon tank. We're going to add a proposed 1,000-gallon pump chamber after those two structures and pump the effluent up to an infiltrator field. Now, everything around the restaurant is paved right now. The existing system is out front. There was a worry about that the system needs to be raised in order to get away from the groundwater table, and across the front it would decimate their parking. So we put it on the side between the building and the lot line, as you're looking at it to the left side, and there's wetlands out back, so we had to kind of pull it forward towards the street, away from the wetlands. We were able to get the leaching field 51 feet away from the wetlands. And again, as I said, we need to raise the system above the existing parking. So in the existing paved area to the left of the building, that's where we did the perk test. That's where we did this proposed design to support the 38 seats at 2 minutes per inch. So it's raised about 2 feet. The final grade is about 2 feet above the existing parking. And the new owner is okay with all that. It's kind of more of a cut through. He has parking in front and on the left, on the right side of the building, and he can still get by and all that. But we had to squeeze, in order for him to still drive around the building with delivery trucks and all that, we had to squeeze the system towards the neighboring lot line to the left and get it down to about 5 feet away instead of the required 10 feet away. So that's why we're here tonight to okay a variance to go down to 5 feet to the lot line between the leaching field and the lot line versus 10 feet.
Okay, and can you explain, also you had talked about the grease, early on you had explained about the restaurants produce a lot of grease. What were they have a special way to get rid of the grease, or?
So they have an existing system now, which has failed, right? And that system, parts of that system still are performing. They're still open now, and they're still functioning. The leaching part is failed. However, there's an existing 1,000-gallon grease trap that is functioning, and an existing 1,500-gallon septic tank that is functioning fine. And we're going to add to that, to those two structures. After those two structures, we're going to add a 1,000-gallon pump chamber, and then a soil absorption system after that.
Okay, yeah.
So they have a grease trap now that works fine. They have an existing septic tank that works fine, and we're proposing to add a pump chamber and then the new leaching field.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And so I did speak with Patrick McDonald earlier today. He could not be here, our agent could not be here today. He got called away on an emergency, so this was, we talked about it relatively, there's one variant relatively simple. They can't move when I say they can't move the building, and you understand that there has to be a certain amount away from the wetlands, so.
Yeah, and he's observed the perk test
And
and
they-
people, so he's, I
Yep.
mean,
And they did notify abutters.
I was gonna say, we have all
We have the
the slips.
letters from,
It's in the packet.
yep. And you also had a question regarding, is your name of your company just your name?
My company, yes.
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 Okay, just asking for the records, yep,
That's
Thank-
all right, yeah.
thank you. A
Junior
little-
is my last name.
okay. Did you have any other questions on it?
No,
I
I was
think it's
just
pretty
making
simple.
sure that abutters were notified. I know this is a funky part of Cranberry Highway where there's a lot of residential, and, I mean, it's a classic case of the variance because of the topography of the land and the wetlands, so I think it's one variance very reasonable.
I would entertain a motion.
I'll motion to approve as presented on the proposed sanitary repair plan for 2605 Cranberry Highway in Wareham.
Then I will second that, and roll call vote,
Jillian Morton.
and Amy Vigat. Thank you.
Great,
Thank
thank
you
you very
very
much. I appreciate your time tonight.
Yep,
Happy-
thank you, happy
happy
4th. So next, we're getting in, so the other, on 5 was continued discussion and possible vote on body art establishment practitioners piercing and tattooing regulations. So that is in our package, and so some things were revised last.
Yeah, so I did review the minutes. But if you can go into, just give me an update on what we're gonna change here. What was proposed last time, cause it just said should make changes made.
Yeah, I mean, there was quite a bit of discussion last time. Also, there was a discussion related to, one person wanted to have special, little sinks that were sort of portable sinks, and whether that is okay or not. Portable sinks, generally most sinks, are required to be, plumbed. And, this person was renting, didn't own the building, putting in the plumbing, I don't know if it was more expensive, but he also couldn't take the sinks with him. He had presented, all the reasons why in the, I guess he was a Army or Marine or something like that, that they have been used out in the field, but those are places where they can't plumb. So for,
Was that something that
that-
he was looking to get into the body art established?
right,
okay.
and they were looking at that. And so it brought up other issues
Okay.
also. I know we have some folks that were here last week, and
Yeah,
I see they have paper and they
I
have
would
some
love if someone
issues.
could come and
And,
enlighten me.
and,
Is Miss Brayley here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'd love to
and,
have her come up.
so, do you know exactly, do you know, the change, do we have the old version and the new version? It's not, I don't think it's highlighted what the changes
No,
are in here.
Patrick did not highlight anything for me
Oh.
at this point. I believe it was still gonna be discussed
Right, okay.
amongst the board
It does say
members of what was-
it does say revised, it is tough when you've got a 6-page thing,
Right.
to know what's been
Highlighted,
revised.
so-
I have to look at the old ones and so ideally, when we're looking at revisions, it'd be
Yeah.
really nice to have the,
Yeah, I
in
could have the red
bold,
line or something.
you know, red line for the stuff you're taking out, bold for the stuff you're adding in, vice versa, you know, that would be really helpful. Let me just pull the old ones out.
I also brought copies of the mass model regulations, which we didn't have last time.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Patrick did tell me that he was looking to, have it more to the recommendations of Massachusetts. They have one, instead of, what we had before, more in tune to what they don't have they have guidelines, but they don't have their own for Massachusetts, but they're guidelines, and that we would more try and, copy what they're doing, or what their recommendations are.
Yeah, I mean, these are,
But I can't tell you
5 years
exactly
old,
what,
so-
right, I can't tell you exactly what the changes are yet.
okay. Well, what was the discussion last time? Was there something they thought needed to get changed specifically?
No, more on, I
There were-
don't, some of the wording, some of the, I think those were the, did you have
Was
any
it over
other-
the
So-
apprentice program? Cause I saw some notes in the minutes
So there's a
about that.
couple different things.
Okay.
Do you have our local regs
Yep.
in front of you?
Yeah, we
So
do.
if you go to page 414, that's the first that I have listed, section E, right at the very top, 4E. Just the wording is off in there. The way this is worded, we would only be able to tattoo if we had a medical license.
Oh, that's right, that
That's-
was,
I mean, that's part of it.
right, that was part of it. It
Right.
said that you had to go to a college, 4-year college. That was the big thing that came up. You literally had to go to almost a 4-year
Yeah, you
college to be,
have
a-
anatomy and
and no one's
physiology
doing that.
class, which is the second year, bio class.
it's on, that's right, that was the big,
So there's, page 4, section 4E, at the very, very top of the page, where it says removal, after removal, tattooing, and then it says cartilage, and then modification. That's all really confusing and like poorly worded, which is, I think, where that tattooing comes in. After that, it was.
There was the recommendations for,
It was under apprentice, and I don't have them lined up, but, here we go. It is page 11 and 14.
college level.
Yeah.
Page 11B, qualified apprentice license, you must complete the following college level anatomy and physiology class. They say they take a week.
We take a skin course. So it's a one-day course, but, so, I went and looked it up. The mass regulations never said a college level course. Let me see, it says, mass model recommendations are that the applicant for body piercing practitioner permit shall provide documentation acceptable to the board that she completed a course of, on anatomy, completed an examination on anatomy, or possesses an equivalent combination of training and experience deemed acceptable to the board. That's a lot different than a college course. The applicant for a tattoo practitioner permit shall provide documentation acceptable to the board that she or he completed a course on skin diseases, disorders, and conditions, including diabetes, or completed an examination of skin diseases, disorders, conditions, including diabetes, or possesses a combination of training and experience deemed acceptable to the board. Ours right now reads a college level anatomy and physiology class or equivalent course approved by the public health department. I think if we go, like Patrick was saying, if we go with the original mass recommendations, it makes sense because then everybody, the skin course that we take is still viable.
But for me, the skin course is probably not enough. A
So,
one-day
so
course
here's
is
my,
not enough.
so here's my thinking about it. I thought about that after I left that night. An entire anatomy and physiology course teaches you around 16, I have a bunch of syllabuses too.
Usually
It's
3
so
months.
wide.
3 months,
So
3
it's-
times a week
So it's
course.
usually around 16 units,
Mhm.
only one of which is skin. That skin unit doesn't cover any of the stuff in depth that we actually learn in that skin course, like skin diseases, how diabetes affects the skin. None of that's covered in a regular anatomy and physiology course. And the anatomy and physiology course would be a second-year course, so you would actually be requiring a 3-step process.
Or you have 2 courses that require it. The skin course is specifically made for folks that do
Yeah.
tattooing makes
Yes.
sense to me. But there should be some sort of basic anatomy course. It doesn't have to be, brain and everything, but maybe it's a little bit more than just skin. Are there I'm not sure what they cover in the
So
skin
they
course.
do cover in the skin course, it depends on which one you take, and there are, I think, right now 4 that you can take throughout the state. The closest being Quincy Board of Health offers one, and a tattoo shop, I think, in Medford, Malden, one of the M towns. They teach one. There's also one out in Springfield. They vary in content, but basically, actually, I have course description. So this is the course description for Basics of Skin for the Body Art course was developed through collaboration with the environmental public health and clinical nursing staff at Quincy Health Department and the medical dermatology residents at Boston University Medical Center, Department of Dermatology. Doctors Monica Rosales Santillan and Saruthi Ranjanala from BUD developed the slides and course exam. Instructors of the course are clinical nursing staff from Quincy Health Department. Description. Course reviews anatomy of the skin, its structure, its function, as well as reviews of the basic skin infections, common antimicrobial agents, their efficacy and use. Course also identifies medical conditions that may increase complications and risks associated with tattooing and measures.
And that's probably the most important part about
And
it all.
yeah, and it goes on to explain like literally everything that's done, how the testing is done. And that's probably the class with the least requirements. The other classes go into I'm trying to think, Cliff Notes versions of the other parts of anatomy and in depth into the skin course. So it does cover it. It is short, but that's what they've offered up until now and has been considered up until now. The other issue with that requirement is that I was going to see if it could be moved out of a necessity for the apprentice and into a necessity for your practitioner's license, because that's something you're learning while you're apprenticing.
But if it's only a day course, wouldn't you want everyone to
Oh yeah,
do it?
if it's a day course, that's not a problem,
Right.
but if
If
were
it's a
more.
skin course, it would be nice that everybody, before they're apprenticing, it has the basic skin
Absolutely.
course anyway.
Absolutely,
And that's not really hard
yeah,
for them to do.
that was
I mean-
with the one day, absolutely.
And I think a college anatomy course is probably more than you need, and it's not all appropriate for what you're doing. But something that is more, and maybe they have, I could see something that's required to be redone yearly for people, like, you know, physicians have certain things you're required to keep up on.
Yeah.
Why not yearly have an up, so that everybody, if you've forgotten what you had that first day, that you do it again?
And this is, the way it's written in the mass regs, I think it's a one-time, I don't know if it's that or if it's just in the, actual course literature for each of the courses, but that it's a one-time, course that counts for your entire career. But yeah, it is definitely.
One day
a
sounds a
course
little
material.
short, cause not everyone's gonna understand or remember everything in that one day.
Yeah.
And whether, if it's only a one day, do you make people do it every 2 years, or upgrade their knowledge over time? Courses also change what they have in them.
Mhm.
Who gives the courses?
So one is run by a tattoo shop called Zaza Inc. One is run by the Quincy Board of Health. And the third that I have here is Springfield something. Hold on. Skin course for tattoo artists. Save Each Life Skin Course Certificate.
So it'd be
And that's
interesting to
in
see what the differences are, and how many of you, so it does in the mass, this is the mass regs, right, or recommendations, have done an anatomy course. Because on part 3, on page 16 of the model regulations for body art establishments, which come from the state. E, number 3, they do recommend a course of anatomy completed on exam on anatomy possesses an equivalent combined training acceptable to the board.
That was my impression,
So-
is that if we go with this, we still have deference to be able to say if you believe that that course, you know, is appropriate enough. It
So
gives us
my
more
question
deference.
there is in the model regulations, it gives you the option to do a completed course on anatomy, an examination on anatomy, or possess an equivalent combination of training and experience.
So somebody who had
You know what I
had,
mean? So you could just take that one day
That-
test and that would qualify for that.
But
you know
everything
what I
is
mean?
deemed acceptable to the board so that we still have deference. I'm a big
correct, but
fan-
what I'm seeing is that there are two. There's the skin course.
Yep.
And then on part 3, they're recommending, which I
So
would-
that's the difference between body piercing, which is listed in number 3, and tattoo practitioner, which is listed in number 4.
Okay. So this isn't for both, this is just, I see.
No, that's the actual anatomy exam, and that part is just for body piercing, which would obviously be even more important, since I'm just touching their skin, I'm not going through it.
And 4 says the applicant for tattoo
Yep.
has to do just skin. Does the body piercing not have to do the skin one too? It probably should, because it
As
talks about
far as
disease.
I know, so I don't have a piercing license, as far as I know, they've had to use that, or have been using that as the same equivalent, say, forever. I mean, I've only recently gotten a piercer just now.
Do we have that differentiated within our regs?
No,
So that's another problem with the regs, is they're not differentiated between piercing and tattooing, a lot of it is lumped together.
What,
but not all of it.
No,
I wanna
not
know
all of it.
from a business owner point of view, what, you know, is it usually that you have a shop and you will also have a piercer? Or is it separate? I mean, here in Wareham,
So
I'm not really familiar with that, so.
I have, let's see, I have the Plymouth regs in front of me.
Like, are we treating them differently? Will it make it so it's easier for the piercers or the tattooers? I don't know, just like,
So in the Plymouth regs, it's treated almost exactly the same way as it is here.
okay.
So under application for body art practitioner permit, it has all of the same stuff ours does, and then training experience, and then applicant for body piercing practitioner permit shall provide, and so on. And bounces back and forth. But I mean, one thing I did wanna add too, and the reason I have Plymouth with me, is also under the apprenticeship area, was, I know Sam had mentioned a supervision statute where the person, the master artist apprenticing someone has to be in-house and there while the apprentice is tattooing. And I had also brought up that I would like to see something like Plymouth has right now. Their master practitioner is listed in their, under their apprenticeship program, and it says a master practitioner shall have a minimum of theirs is 5 years of experience in the field before they plan on teaching. Shall have a permit to perform body art in the town for at least 2 years. Master practitioner shall hold a current permit. Let's see.
Is that in the, are you reading from?
No, so I'm
Louisa?
reading from Plymouth's. I'm just hoping that we adopt something similar here,
I
because
think it makes sense.
Yeah, we
Shouldn't
don't
have
have-
somebody get a license and be able to train people
So
the
do we
next day.
not have something that says you have to have a certain amount of
no,
I don't think
years,
so.
so you could be a brand new
Correct,
artist and then training another one?
yes.
yeah, so silly, huh?
So I don't think we're gonna get this fleshed out tonight, but
No, we won't.
I'm curious if either Robin or Ms. Gurley, maybe because she, like, the items that we don't have in our regs, that you are saying these are things, suggestions, present that in a way that we could have it, you know, on one sheet, and bring it over to the board. I think that would be really useful.
I sent a copy of that to Patrick and Sam, who aren't here tonight, so I know they'll have it.
So they do have a list, okay.
I can send you a copy of mine. This is just my email printout version of it, but I can definitely send the copies of this and my copies of the Wareham regs with the notes in it.
Yeah, I think that would be,
So the big
Super
issues with, you know, the training, I think is
Is the
it's sort of
apprenticeship.
silly.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 years seems to make sense.
Mhm.
The skin versus anatomy course, you
Mhm.
need both, depends on how good the skin course is, really.
Plymouth is 5 years, right?
Yep.
Okay, I think it
What
needs
is-
to be minimum 5 years.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean, Plymouth has good artists up there, and things are clean, and I think 5, it needs to be 5.
what is your opinion on the skin versus anatomy versus the skin course is 1 day, sounds to me is a little short.
So I have
Any other
college level biology and I have high school level anatomy and physiology and I have the skin course. I don't honestly think there is, with what we deal with on a daily basis with people's skin, after 16 years of doing this, there's almost nothing that isn't taught to us in also CPR, first aid, BBP, that isn't then taught in the skin course as well, that would be taught in an anatomy and physiology course that we need. I don't need the reproductive system, I don't
No.
need the basis of the cells, I don't need all of that other stuff. So I think the skin course definitely works for us. If there was another option, like a 3-day course, that would certainly be better, but I don't know that that's even offered right now. I went and did as much research as I could to find the 3 that I found. And I had talked to Sam and Patrick about trying to figure out if there's a way. I know a couple people who are able to teach it. So I'm wondering if there's a way we could put together something where we offer a better course for the shops that are either on the Cape or in general in the South Coast
Wonder
area.
if Plymouth, are they offering a good course there?
Nope.
So since
I
they
worked
have a
in
lot of,
Plymouth
you know,
for-
that-
Yeah, I worked in Plymouth
Yeah,
for
I think a lot
almost
of
a
those
decade before.
artists are from different areas, and they've
Yeah.
settled there, that's
Yeah,
that's
and
my
that's
experience.
the
Yeah.
Quincy skin course was accepted there. You have Quincy, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, Quincy was
Is
accepted
that by
there.
the city?
The skin course is, yeah. And she just recently started reteaching it this year. There had been a delay. The woman who, Judy, who originally wrote all of the regs, was the person who taught that course for
Oh, wow.
Quincy forever. And she retired.
Mhm.
So they stopped doing it for a little while, but it was either the very end of last year or beginning of this year they restarted.
we had some wording issues last
Wording.
time.
I
that
guess
was
my
just-
question is, I think it happened last time, and I know there's been chatter, like on Facebook and stuff, people practicing without licenses. Or, you know, their apprentice or their master tattooer isn't there. I think that's the stuff that's coming up for us, right, Dr. Amy?
Yeah, that's
know,
exactly
That's
what
where I
is.
have problems
I
because.
mean, I think, you know, one of the folks that was here last time. I guess sometimes she was out in California and when other people were.
That was
so-
the
so-
emails, there was some
Yes,
stuff
and then
passed
people
around.
would, so, I mean, that really can't happen.
That puts the town in a huge liability
Yeah.
too. So, and also takes money away from people who are doing it right. I'm assuming you're doing it right, cause you're
And
here.
So if you
So I
have
didn't
somebody
I
who's.
hope that we
Yeah,
can make sure that.
I
everybody
have a
does it.
problem when people are trying to go underneath, our nose, and then
Mhm.
it's taking money away from people who are hustling
Working
and,
out,
and, and really here, She could be making money tattooing, and she's here talking about the regs, so.
Speaking of which, what time?
Yeah, she might need
Yeah,
to
yeah.
go.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I think
Yeah.
that if we could get if you wanna have Sam or Patrick send that along to us, and then we
Okay.
can
We knew
maybe
we
take
weren't
each
finishing
item.
these today when I
Yeah.
talked to them, but I thought it was good to start the
Yeah,
conversation.
and I'll take a look at some of
Um,
the other,
yeah, this is
Right.
just, I mean, this was wording.
do we
that
have a
was
max
over.
number of licenses? Is this one capped at all?
Not to the best of my knowledge.
I don't think
So,
it should
and
be,
the
I
other
think it's
issue
free
that was,
enterprise, I'm just,
Yeah.
I just was curious if that's something that
the
it's
sinks was
certainly-
the other issue
the sinks,
that came up too. Do you think capping is an issue?
No, cause zoning takes care of that, right?
Yeah.
You can only have it in certain zones, is my understanding,
Yeah.
so they're, that's a zoning thing.
If there are too many of them, less people will open a new shop because they, so I think,
Nope, look how many lawyers are on
Yeah.
Main
I
Street.
Yeah.
came to Wareham because I thought we only had one, and now we have 4. All right, thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you.
thank you very much for all
Appreciate
your
you
work
coming
and.
Yeah, enjoy
enjoy-
the
yeah.
4th.
Yeah.
Me too. So the other issue that they brought up was this, I know not everybody, the sink, whether we would even look into that. I think neither Tropiano nor McDonald thought that it made a lot of sense in that it's harder to clean. You have these portable sinks and you have to have a gallon or 2 gallon full of water, and then you have to make sure that that's clean, and so I think, if it's a building where you can plumb, then it should be plumbed,
Mhm.
so that was,
Okay.
but do you have all those, did you get those 4 issues, for the, yeah, okay.
So motion to continue, till next meeting?
Yeah,
when's our
I don't
next
think we
meeting?
need a motion
Oh.
for it, but,
When is our next meeting?
next meeting, is third week, I'll tell you the date, the 17th.
Okay, I am not available that day, just so you know, I'm gonna be in Costa Rica.
Oh, and I'm returning that night, we're not, so we're gonna have to postpone that meeting.
We could, well, let's see,
I'm not, that, we have to postpone that meeting,
Okay.
I'm actually flying in that night. Maybe that day, but if I'm late at all, that will be tough.
so
Do you wanna postpone it to the following Wednesday?
I couldn't be there still,
Oh,
I'm
you
still.
still
gonna
do
be-
I would,
Or
I
you
mean,
just wait till
we
the
often,
following-
we could do the 7th of August, which is the first, we usually do the 1st and 3rd.
Okay.
So why don't we
Yeah,
just do
I
the
think one
7th?
meeting in July, it's not a
Yeah,
lot.
that's okay.
Okay.
It's a busy month for
Yeah.
everyone. We often postpone one of them in
Yeah.
the summer anyway.
Okay.
Yep.
So, 7th, and then we'll bring the regs, back.
Yep.
Any other, I don't think there was anything else last time. It was just, and what do we do if we have somebody practicing outside of their scope? Then that becomes a fine and they come before us. If we find that, and I'm not sure that's all been
Okay.
happening.
Yeah, it's just kind of been, we'll hit them on, slap on the wrist kind of thing. If
So
someone's-
we'll
yeah.
have to
Well,
get the
Okay.
rest cleared, okay? Okay,
so I think we have to approve the minutes.
yeah, and I think we're good. Approval minutes of June 5th.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
And I second that. And roll call vote,
Jillian Morton.
Amy Vigan.
Right.
And no other business, I'd recommend
Nothing
a
else.
motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn.
I second that.
Roll call.
Roll call, yes?
Jillian Morton.
Amy Vigan.
All right, all